Good morning.
Just watch yourself. Just wait for 10. You know where you're going. I know where I'm going. Hey guys.
Hello.
So you just go this way. The tour starts just past the blue.
Awesome.
Okay?
Thank you.
He's dating me. She's the one who gave me money for her. So I say hi.
Yeah, I remember you.
Where are you working? You in
So I am here today at the NewFlyers open house. I was invited out here with the MTHA, and today I'll be doing a bit of a digital tour. Sadly, it is not an exclusive tour. There may be one of those of the parts department though. Over here we have the CNC tube bender. So for all the CNG, so the XN buses, their tubes are bent here. It is a fairly busy area of the plant, but not the most busy. We also have the other side where they do a lot of other work.
Hey guys.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm still alive, so it's a good day.
Yeah, absolutely.
Pretty much anywhere within the tape is okay.
Yeah. So you're taking photos. I guess the tour starts there. So I guess if
Okay.
you wanted to walk around,
Going
just
around.
start with the gentleman in the vest.
Okay.
Right over there.
Awesome,
Okay.
thank you. Over here is the end-on system. So you'll see here, for most of their diesel coaches and other ones, they have the air vents. So you'll see these with the HVAC at the rear left of the buses. Very common. These are for the Excelsiors. Over here you have the rear panels for the Excelsiors. In the current stage, they don't yet have the little door key add-ons yet. You'll see due to the size of the plant, they do have bikes to get around. Over here is the area where they take a look at the front axles. So you have your brakes at the end. They all are air brakes. In this case, these are MAN ones. Very popular, used all over North America. And you'll see this is the front chassis, I believe, to what appears to be a Excelsior, most likely a 40-foot.
Head out to your machine shop?
Sure, I'll go through the machine shop.
Yes.
How different is the machine shop here compared to the MCI?
MCI, so I would say more confined here.
More compressed.
MCI, I think, is more spread out, I think. I haven't been over there in a while, but yeah, this is very kind of neatly tucked into the one side. Feeds the line.
Awesome, I'll take a
Yeah.
look, thank you.
No worries.
Over here is the machine shop. So this is where they fabricate parts. You'll have miscellaneous parts, so in this case, it's your part number. I don't recognize exactly what those parts are. Some parts I will instantly recognize, some I won't. Depends on if I have worked on those buses before. Over here we have the beginning to the side skirts of Excelsiors. Pretty much your most popular bus in North America. You'll see they have some frame mesh further back. Over here is a lot of their raw metal. So you'll see here, this is how it is received, and then they do their changes. You'll see in this case they've polished, drilled, and have done other small modifications. So very similar to the MCI, they have their CNC for laser cutting, very popular. You also have all of your bits for a non-laser CNC, very much commonly used, and then you'll have what parts it's for. Moving further back to MS3, you'll see here with their OpEx system, it's a very impressive system, to be honest. Pretty much it's all automated, and there's just the humans there for that final sort of check. This here is one of their newer machines. It lifts it, it does pressing, it's everything. It's an all-in-one system. Over here is one where it was hit with their laser CNC. So you'll see that the parts have been CNC'd out with a part number. And so these, in the end, will get popped out. You can see this one kind of starting to pop out. But they'll pop out all the parts. And then with the rest of the panel, it's pretty much sent to scrap. So you'll see here, here's a scrap steel bin. So this is all those sort of remnants from those part panels. To our left, we have more laser cutters. So these ones here in the field are laser based. You'll see here, that's one of the panels where the cooling hasn't been done. So you'll see it has that sort of oxidation on the edges. So it's not a complete finished product at this stage. You'll see here more and more parts. So this will be your flat sheet laser system. So you take a flat sheet of metal and it'll actually cut it into the parts that are needed. Over here, more and more machine work. You can see all the parts on the table. I'm not 100% sure on what these do, so I'm not going to comment further. And you'll see this just goes on and on and on. It's a very, very impressive facility here. So there you go. More of their tools for their bending systems. Now that we are further along, these are vending machines. Now, they aren't like the vending machines that you'll find other places. These are actually for bus parts. So commonly used parts, you can see somewhat that they do actually have all the parts in there. So you just tap your employee ID, put in the part number, and it will spit it out. Unfortunately, some parts will end up being left out. Slightly further off, there will be some more complete units, but in this area, we just have stacks and stacks of parts. So these are all fresh from the machining table and ready to go. So up ahead will be their machining display. So some of the parts there will have been made at the MCI. I'm just going to wait for this crowd of people to dissipate. And so you'll have all sorts of things. But over at MCI, they have a much more sophisticated system for cutting. Now, I'm actually supposed to get some custom-made license plate covers for a J4500.
This is this bent.
They won't notice this. This is very...
Yes. Security. Another one with itchy fingers. This is all.
So over here, this is more of their production line. So you'll see all sorts of parts. Sorry about the shakiness here. So this here will be your rear drivetrain. So this would be for a 40 or 60 footer. You can see it's all here. Your brakes. This one's using the MAN axles, yet again. Very, very popular. It's a very impressive cross chamber, to be honest. Cutting back to the machining area, over here they have what they machined out. So I was actually at MCI when they were cutting some of these, and so what would happen is they just bring it to the laser cutter and they cut it. So at one point I will get some custom made ones dropped off, and I'll send some photos if I can. Over here are some partially completed Excelsiors. I am unsure of who these are for, so I will not comment as of now. You'll see here you have a wheelchair ramp, and you just have the parts all over. This is more of their machining, so this will be the MS2 area. So this is their full laser cutting. Now, It is very impressive. It is very fancy. It's also very, very expensive. Over here is a fuse box. So these fuse boxes will commonly be seen just under the driver's side. Just, you'll see those panels sitting. So that's what these commonly are. You do have some side panels further back. Over here, more Excelsior parts. So these will just be general panels. Some of these are for the roof. And quite a few of the pieces that you'll see here are actually from your hardware.
Morning. Morning.
Good morning.
Enjoy your tour.
Over here, we have more of the laser machine shop. It's a very, very popular part. Over to the right, you can actually get a bit of a cooler vantage. So this is part where they do their finishing touches to the parts.
The best part.
Over here at the back is more of the MS 1 and 3. So even more machining. It's one of the main things that do here is most of the aluminum body panels, aluminum, whichever you decide to call it. Over here, it's a bit more of like a logistical area. Yet again, more and more parts. You'll see that they do have the lifts and hoists to move everything. And this is some of their shipping and receiving. So these are some finished parts from the machine shop that get brought down further in the line. So we're going to enter a weld shop. So here's an example of what the welders would wear. On our left, we have more and more equipment for metals. So this is all part of the weld shop. So over here, for example, is weld shop 10. Full Excelsiors is all they work on. So you'll see actually they just have the frame, part of the side frame. So you can actually see all the window cutouts. So this will be one with the window frames. It's not going to be the frameless design like on the TPC units. And you'll see they have all these mounts that everything is precision welded. See the Excelsior, it's a very impressive unit and they take pride in making it what it is. So see here all those pallets that we saw with the kit is ready for pickup. These all get welded together here in the weld shop. And you'll start to see things like, you know, when you sit on the bus, you have that axle area. There you go, that's the frame for it. Over here are more and more parts, and some of those are examples. You'll see here, that frame is really starting to come together. So this is one that's upside down. You can see where the axle gets mounted down there. Here's another one that is right side up. You'll see here, you have your front cabin for the Excelsiors. You have all sorts of stuff in here. And if you just look down this line, it's all Excelsiors. Over here, you have these sort of just frames. So these are mostly finished frame units. So all the body panels have to get attached. So all the fiberglass ones come from Carfair. And so all the ones from Carfair get added on, and then the ones from the weld shop also get added on further along. Over here, we have more welded parts. And more Excelsior frames. I am just moving around some of the screens just since there are certain requirements for media here. So sadly this one is turned around so that we cannot see it, but it's all its tools. So So over here you have more and more frames. So this one here, for example, has been finished with the quality assurance. You'll see that they mark it and they check all the welds. You can actually see it's a very, very impressive weld job on these guys. Not too sure where these units are going, but they're pretty much all made the same. Over on this side, these guys here get their sandblasting done, and after sandblasting, they're sort of matte, and then they do the basics of protecting it. Moving along further, station 550 for corrosion. So over here is all the things that sort of prevent corrosion. So corrosion is what used to kill a lot of buses. You would just see them rusted out. Oh man, that was blurry. And so you would see them rusted out, and it was just a massive issue. So they've been working more and more to prevent it. Now we will sort of start our assembly. So as we move further and further down, you get closer and closer to the finished buses. So here at Flyer, they actually have these screens that explain when everything has changed. But this here will be some of those first all Canadian Excelsiors. Most of them were being brought in back forth from Minnesota and other plants and then brought here. So you'll see most of these are for their 40-foot, actually 40s, XN 40s and all their 40s. And then there will be some Arctic further along. Along here, you have all sorts of mechanical work going on. So these are the mechanical benches. It's a very busy sort of area. They're always working on things. They really never stop working here. It's sort of a 24/7 operation. Over here, you have more and more parts. I'll see if I can get slightly further along the production line. Over here, we have more and more. So over here will be the front of an Excelsior. So in this case, it just has a container number, and you'll see that where the windshield is actually completely done in. And then you'll see that they have started to do all the wiring. You really never think about how much wiring there is in a bus and how much insulation until you really see them making it. It's a very, very impressive process. Over here, you have almost finished product. So in this case, this will be for some of their battery electric and hydrogen buses. So most of the TTC units have been completed, if not all of them. And this is going to be a more busy area. So this is their electric lineup, and you'll see these are the frameless windows. So this here is the first ever all-Canadian Excelsior. It's currently being worked on. It's very impressive. You can see it has their balloon on it. It's not a complete product yet, but you'll see seats and things. This is where they'll start to get added. Over here you have those roof side panels, which are actually going to go to that bus. So the all-Canadian line is a very new lineup, and it was in response to Donald Trump and the tariffs. So in this case, there's no operations, so there's no next move, but it's how they keep all the buses on track. Not 100% sure what this is for. I believe that this may be an Arctic joint for the Arctics. So things like the driver's seat will all get done here. And you'll see that they actually have to raise the buses to do the underside. Over to our left is the cafeteria. Over in the cafeteria, this is where people will end up grabbing a bite to eat or something. Right now the cafeteria is closed, or else I would do a food review. Further and further along the production line, on that mixed line, you'll see it's a lot of white paint. They have the base white paint and primer, and so that base white paint and primer is pretty much all used for just that paint afterwards will stick. And so with that all-Canadian Excelsior lineup, they've made quite a few changes here at Flyers, so if you have been here previously, they will have changed. Further along the production line, we'll see some of the TTC buses just rolling off, and we'll actually see other buses that aren't completed, that the orders are relatively new. This is their manufacturing line. As we actually continue along here, you'll see all sorts of different stations. Over there you can see the rear of an Excelsior. Bit of a different lights layout than most people are accustomed to. So this here is most of the stuff for the paint shop. So things with paint will be applied. And at this point, the bus is almost finished. So most recently was a massive TTC order. And so you're going to see a lot of TTC buses. So in this case, you'll see they've actually started their painting. So they pretty much sand down all those fiberglass panels from Carfair, and they start the paint process. You'll see on the other side, they have all sorts of panels that still have to get added on. And so at this point, they're just down to painting the buses. So I'm going to do a quick spin around so that we're closer to on track, and so I don't end up spoiling anything. So they come through the paint booth. They're starting to look like a complete product. Now some of you guys may recognize this color scheme. I cannot say what it is. Over here we have the rear of Excelsior, and you'll see they're starting to get those colors added. So at this point everything is almost on, but there's still some final assembly required. Over here we have some more buses that you'll probably recognize the paint scheme to, and so on and so forth. Now for some coaches, they are brought back and forth from the US, and you'll see back there you have the panels pretty much almost ready to go, and they just need their final assembly. And so as a thing with the American grants is that half of the bus has to be built in the US. Now when they come back, they'll look something like this. This is a TTC bus going to Toronto shortly. It's a completed unit. So in this case, unit 6,192. It's very impressive. And so some carriers will all spec it different, so you can't really rely on this or what every bus will look like. But most decals have already been added, and you'll see many of the amenities that most of these buses come with. Now in this case, there is still some final assembly being done, but it's all very, very minor work. So now for what we have missed, which thankfully is not too much. So a lot of paint work. So you'll see all these parts are getting painted in here. So here is more of the final assembly. So you have your windshields, you have your front display glass covers, and you have other glass panels. So for example, the 2 pane doors, there's a bus going to you know where. And as you carry on, you'll see more and more. So, that's pretty much it for the actual NewFlyer. And you'll see out there as they're shipping and receiving, parts come in, they're instantly used. So normally when coaches are coming back from the US, they'll actually be driven. I cannot describe to you the smell of new bus in this building. It's very, very strong. So you'll have more and more parts all waiting. I think you'll be able to recognize most of these. And you see that there are some buses waiting out there, hopefully. So over here, you have all the parts that are being delivered. I'm going to see if I can actually get some video inside their R&D department. So they have some pretty cool stuff. Cummins X10 buses, all sorts of stuff like that. This is part of their paint prepping area. And so pretty much there's just tons and tons of paint work is what a lot of these buses are. There are some units where they don't paint and wow. It's, you know, it's all sorts of different colors, it oxidizes, and you'll start to see things like rust. So, that's pretty much it for our tour of NewFlyer, at least our production facilities. You'll see here, these are those side panels the drivers use for doors, hazards, everything like that. I do apologize if the video is bad. I'm using a new tripod. I ran into some issues. Over here are some paint items. So you have your sander, paint gun, everything like that. Pretty much like painting a car. Over here are more part vending machines. There are actually some rears of Arctics in here. Paint cans. In here are actually group panels. You'll probably be able to ID most of these and where they're going. It's pretty iconic stuff. So you have all sorts of parts. So you can see here all these small parts of buses that people don't really think about. You know, you have all these just small nuts and bolts, and every one of them plays a key role in getting people to and from their destinations. Over here is their HR department. It's a pretty busy area. I'm going to need to blur some of it if it did get in. And we're right back to the start with their CNG tube bending. So when you go to exit, there's actually a bit of a display. So it shows some of their previous work. This is a very, very important deal with NewFlyer acquiring MCI.
You too, eh?
And they have models.
Me too, I miss you. Thank you.
Right now, there's something going on.
Some of these are very, very cool, but they aren't really given out. And that is a very, very cool one. It's actually an Excelsior trolley.
Okay, so you go there first and then come to the tent. Okay, thank you.
You'll see here SR 1923, which was their demo that they brought to CUDA at Osborne Station with Winnipeg Transit's Rapid Transitway. And we are back out. So, we go from raw sheet metal all the way to that. a finished all-electric bus. I'd like to give a big thank you to NewFlyer and MTHA for making this possible. And I'm actually gonna hop in here. There's gonna be much more on the other side, and hopefully I'll be able to show it. It's like I've moved to Toronto. So units like these come without a fare box. Most places will install their own fare box from buses that are being retired. And there you have it. From raw metal to a brand new bus. So here we are in their parts and new product development. They do have the red carpet rolled out.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning. I'm okay, I've already been through here.
Oh, you've been here. Okay.
So over here is where they do new product development. So over here are some ex-Winnipeg buses. So in this case, ex-Winnipeg 995, which is being converted in this time. And behind it is 996. 996 has been converted to a hydrogen electric. 996 was originally NewFlyer's electric demo, before then becoming Winnipeg Transit 996 as part of a 4-year lease. In this case, it's the FC Move. So you'll actually see quite a bit of Winnipeg branding still. You know, you got those Winnipeg seats, Winnipeg signs, stuff like that.
Connor, did you show them the paint job you guys did on that?
So continuing back, we can actually take a look here at what's sort of inside of a hydrogen bus. So someone is fanning the brakes, you can hear it, and it's almost instant to actually build up air. This is a very cool rig. So every Arctic gets to simulate this. And so this isn't actually testing the Arctic itself. You can actually see that part that we saw earlier. This is actually testing all the components run through it. So in most of these buses, everything is run through that articulation joint, right at the top. And so you'll see everything. It's very impressive setup that they have. Over here is a different bus.
Yeah, so obviously with this little logo.
So this here is one of the Charge NG. So right now this is the test for the next gen. So this is for their next heavy duty lineup of electric.
What's in your
So you'll see here it's just like as if it was in service, except there is some fancy software being run. You'll see in this case the sign is further back, just since this was spec'd out for another transit agency. Over here is the back of 995. You'll see it isn't completely done yet. And you can actually still see that remnant from when it was with Winnipeg Transit. And of things that always have to get moved, they just keep them inside so that they don't get lost. So it is currently closed off. So this is Neuron 2.0. And so this is very early stages of development. There are no second gen Excelsiors out here, so I'm not going to talk about those. And yet again, those MAN axles, you'll see that they show up all over. And this yet again was an ex-Winnipeg Transit. Over here is one that you may recognize that paint color from. Very unique. This was their XDE 40 demo with the Cummins and ZF, but that actually is no longer true. So this is a Cummins X10, so next generation, along with, on top of that, an Allison B500. So you'll see here it's still in development, but this is going to be a full diesel coach instead of that hybrid that we saw before. So in here is the Cummins X10, brand new next generation. So this is to replace the ISL 9. Very, very impressive work. So over here is one of those battery packs. So normally it'll just be like that, but you can actually see inside of this one, which is very, very nice of them. And so those blue lines are actually coolant. So these batteries will heat up a lot, and that extra coolant is needed. Inside they have all sorts of buses that they worked on that were like peak of innovation at the time. So you have your Invero, you have your LFR trolleys, LFR, and another Invero. The Invero was a very controversial project with NewFlyer. Over here you'll see some things. Not everything is real. In this case, this is a bus I cannot talk about, and it is actually along Graham, back when it was open, and this is all digital, it wasn't actually driving down Graham. Very, very, very cool though. Continuing on. You have your LFAs. Speaking of one thing, forgot about this. Over here is Scenic Cruiser number 20, which is actually here on display. It was actually refurbished by NewFlyer. So we are now in the parts warehouse. Inside the parts warehouse, you have all sorts of parts. And so you'll have the parts all over within here.
Okay, alright. Thanks.
So over here, we have our basic area. So this is where everything will get staged before them being sent places. So they support parts pretty much until the end of the bus's service life. So they still have parts for the Invero, the LFs, things like that, but they aren't always producing new ones or able to source parts. So it's pretty much what stock is available and still in production. Back here is a bit more of a quiet area. You have things like your rear panels for the Excelsiors and random wiring. You have door panels. You have all sorts of things, all generations. So I don't know all the parts here. They still have things like the G40 LFA in stock, which was only ordered by Long Beach. I do apologize for the shakiness. I do not have any stabilization today. And so you'll have things like your brake components, refrigerators, so you know, your AC, all sorts of things. For example, the American seating 2-straight for all those wheelchair housings that you'll see in the modern day. Along here, you'll have other parts. And so they have it very, very organized. It's honestly very impressive, and it's always clean in here. You'll see things for their CNG buses, their hydrogen buses, all generations of bus they would have parts for here. So they do have some things on display, which I will go and show. So for example, they have manuals. So this is with their NFI.parts publications. So all sorts of times they have to make manuals for people. So in which case, if you buy a brand new bus, you'll get a manual, and you get all sorts of very, very important info. Here you have brake components, and over here is one thing that most people will find interesting, is it's actually a loadout of an Excelsior. So over here you have the dash. This is for your more modern buses, your electrics, your hydrogens, with that digital display. Then you have everything that goes on behind. You have your thing that lets it go into the run positions, and it's all wired up back there, but it's not plugged in. Over here is more stuff for the braking system. And further along, it's just more and more parts. Next thing here will take us to the very back of the outside area. Over there you can see that they're actually building some more space for their warehouses. And this is where they keep a lot of unique buses out. So you have some of their TTC buses, and you also have buses that have been changed a lot. So over here is Excellent Big Transit 997, which is actually being converted. It is no longer the same bus it used to be. It is the same chassis, the build plate is pretty much still the same. I won't be showing photos of most build plates in this case, for certain reasons. So in this case, it's their new high-grade electric system. So this has a ELFA 3, and you'll see this is pretty much exactly the same as what it was with Big Transit. But they have changed those tops, they have changed the sides. Very, very impressive work. Moving along to what's with the Heritage Association is Excellent Big Transit 107. Further along, we actually have some buses that are in repair. So this one here had some damage. I don't know what's going on with it. And over here is SR 1975. It's a 2015 XT40. It was actually put on a shaker test, so it's probably completely toasted. You'll see it's pretty much left abandoned, just being used for parts that can be salvaged. Over there is Project Ivy. It's a XN60 with left side doors, and then some other buses up there. There's Gregory's 20, and that's it for Flyer.